Good morning, everybody. All right. What an awesome chapter. We got some good stuff to go through here. I always love the story of the Good Samaritan. I'm surprised to see that actually Luke's the only one to tell this story. But anyhow, we'll go through it in a bit. We got a few other things to go through first. So let's get started. We have here we go. I gotta press a few buttons to get ready. Here we go. All right. The 70 are sent out. So, I mean, this is coming to a point where Jesus needs help. He needs, because there's still a lot of work to get done. I think this is only like 6 months before he goes to Jerusalem to be crucified. And so, after these things, the Lord appointed 70 others also and sent them 2 by 2 before his face into every city and place where he himself was about to go to. You know, I always tried to think, I wonder what happened to the 70, right? You know, he sent out the 70, and then what? But it seems like they are going to be going out to the places that he's about to go to. So I wonder if they kept on going from city to city. This is what it seems like, ahead of them, even up to Jerusalem. And so the 12 stayed with him to minister with him, to be with him. But these 70 were ahead of him. So I wonder if they kept on doing this. This would make sense. And then he said to them, "The harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. This is a good prayer to pray. Therefore pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." You know, the harvest is ready. It's plentiful. It's like in the fall time where we are, the fields, there's a lot of fields, and those fields are gold. That wheat is ripe. It's ready to go. And then you see these harvesters come in where you got 5 or 6 combines running in a row, just harvesting like a crazy. And this is like the world. It is absolutely ready. People are going through a lot of stuff. They need help. They need hope. They need something. And Jesus is saying, hey, people are out there and the harvest is plentiful. It is ready. It's ripe. We need more laborers. Get out into the field. And so we can pray for more harvesters. And sometimes maybe there's somebody that you're thinking of in another place that you can't minister. Well, you can pray for harvesters to come in that area. But maybe somebody's praying for a loved one that's near you. Maybe we ought to be the harvesters for those people. And so go on your way. Behold, I send you out as lambs among wolves. Oh, this seems like a scary thing. Behold, I send you out as lambs among wolves. And it could be scary, but yet it's not saying that everybody is wolves. Remember, the fields are ripe. There's a lot of people that are ready. But there are some wolves out there. And in fact, Jesus came out as a lamb among wolves. And he did it well. It's just saying we're not going out as wolves, ravenous, doing all this damage. No, we are going out in love, and we're going to keep our hearts pure, but we are among wolves. There's some wolves out there. Carry neither money bag, knapsack, nor sandals. We kind of talked a little bit about this yesterday. However, this is also, it means about, not caring about what you need. When I was younger, I took a leadership course. It was a 1-year leadership course called Master's Commission. And I didn't have really the money to do it. But something just kept on coming to my mind. If it's his will, it's his bill. And I kept on doing that. And God was so incredible to bring provisions. There's so many miracles that took place. I even had somebody put money, instead of pickpocketing. Well, I actually had somebody put pocketing. Somebody tried to put money in my pocket and tried to leave through the crowd, scurried through the crowd without me seeing. Well, I chased him down anyways. I was like, what the heck? And yeah, somebody put money in my pocket. And I had so many stories of things that took place, of God just providing. Like I said, if it's his will, it's his bill. And this is the same thing. If he's calling you to go, he will also give that provision. And then he says, but whatever house you enter, first say peace to the house. And if they don't want to take that peace, you know what? That peace just does a U-turn and comes right back onto you. It's no problem. It's absolutely fine. And then it says, remain there, for a laborer is worthy of his wages. This is absolutely true. It's actually an honor to bless somebody who's ministering, and we ought to be more of a blessing to those that are going out to be a blessing and ministering the word. But whatever city you enter, if they receive you, each such things are set before you, and heal the sick there, and say to them, the kingdom of God has come near to you. But whatever city you enter, and they do not receive, go out into its streets and say, the very dust of this city that clings on, we wipe off. This is pretty much Jesus just saying, hey, don't be offended if they don't take you. It's me that they're not receiving. And so just wipe it off, shake it off, and just keep going. And he says, but it would be more tolerable for that day for Sodom than for that city. And so then he goes about this, saying, hey, woe to Chorazin and Bethsaida. Mighty works were done in you. And we've seen then what we'd seen in Tyre and Sidon. There's actually almost like this level of punishment that takes place according to what you had. And so, yeah, he says more tolerable than Tyre and Sidon. See, they didn't have Jesus with them. But Chorazin was a town just not far from Capernaum, and so was Bethsaida. And John mentions that we can't write in a book everything that Jesus did. And so it's very possible, because according to this, there were great things that happened in Chorazin and Bethsaida, but they wouldn't receive Christ. And so imagine Tyre and Sidon, they didn't have Christ, but they still, and you, Capernaum, even worse, you were exalted to the heavens, but would be brought down to Hades. This is just showing that great things were done there, but they still weren't receiving Christ. And then he says this, he who hears you hears me. He who rejects you rejects me, and he who rejects me rejects him who sent me. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting what you're bringing. And let's say you're bringing a pizza to them. Well, and they receive you. It's not you that they're receiving the pizza. Or what if you bring like Hawaiian pizza, and they're like, no, we don't want that. They're rejecting the Hawaiian pizza. And so here, he who hears you hears me is like the pizza saying, he who hears this Hawaiian or wants this Hawaiian pizza, they want the pineapple. But he who rejects this pizza rejects the pineapple. He who rejects the pineapple is rejecting fruit on their pizza. This is pretty much what it's saying. Like, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting what you're bringing. And so this is what we're bringing. We're bringing Jesus, and not everybody wants that type of pizza, and so they're rejecting it. So don't take it personally. It's Jesus who's saying it. So then the 70 returned with joy, saying, Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. And so then he said to them, yeah, for sure. Of course the demons have to, they're subject to you in my name. I saw Satan fall. He lost his privilege from heaven. Yeah, okay, Adam gave him the authority on the planet. But you've got this authority. And I love this verse. I pray this over Judah and Eli, and I pray this oftentimes. Behold, I give you the authority to trample on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you if we walk in this faith, and if we stand believing that. But it's sometimes the natural comes, and we take more of the report of the natural, and we sometimes accept hurt. And people are like, whoa, Paul took hurt. He was beaten, so you can't say this. Well, wait, I look more as what Jesus did. Nobody ever hurt him. He walked, they tried to take him, they tried to get him. And yeah, certainly we have this type of authority, but nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that you have authority, and that the spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice because of something greater that God did for you, and that is that your names are written in heaven. That's the most incredible miracle, is that God forgave us and has received us. And so in that hour, Jesus, I love this, in that hour, Jesus rejoiced in the Spirit. He was like, God, thank you that these 70 people and the disciples are seeing these things. You have hidden these things from the wise and prudent and revealed them to these babes, even to regular folk, these 70 people. Even so, Father, so it seemed good in your sight. And all these things have been delivered to me by my Father, and no one knows who the Son is except the Father, and who the Father is except the Son. This will be revealed to them only by God. So then he turned to his disciples and said privately, blessed are the eyes which see the things you see. He's pretty much saying, hey guys, listen, don't take for granted what you're seeing. I know you're seeing miracles, you're casting out demons, and you're doing, but hey, I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see what you see, and they have not seen it, and they'd like to hear it, and they have not heard it. This is like Moses, Elijah, David, all these prophets. Go through the list of judges, go through all the list of prophets. They all wanted to see. I could just picture Moses and Elijah going, we got to go talk to this Jesus. We've been wanting to see this for so long. Can we please go down and see Jesus? And Elijah's probably like, I never even died. I can go down there. Just send me. I would like to talk to him. And so then they went down and they talked to Jesus when they were on the mount. But here's the thing. Of course, it's probably not that took place. But Jesus is saying, hey, don't take for granted what you're seeing. But we're even in a greater covenant, in a better time, and it's expedient that Jesus left so that we get Holy Spirit. We even are in a greater time, and yet we are taking this for granted, aren't we? I titled this, We Are Martha. I'm just kind of thinking, a play on words from the movie We Are Marshall. But we are also, like these disciples, taking for granted what they are seeing. Now, they might not entirely be taking it for granted, but I think we as Christians are taking it more for granted than these disciples. But all the prophets, they desired to see this. Now we go to the parable of the Good Samaritan. I love this story. So behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tested him, saying, this is kind of like that young ruler that came to Jesus. He says, teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And he said, well, what's written in the law? You're a lawyer. What is your reading of it? And he answered him, he said, well, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And he said to him, yeah, all right, you've answered rightly. Now, I highly doubt that this guy did that perfectly, because he could never, it's only through Jesus that we could be saved. However, you have answered rightly. Do this and you will live. Yeah, for sure. Love God, give him priority, and love your neighbors. But he, wanting to justify himself. Why do you want to justify himself? He's a lawyer. He's wanting to justify himself. He said, all right, who is my neighbor? Because I do this for my friends and my neighbors. And Jesus answered and said, oh man, you don't even have a stinking clue what a neighbor is. He said, all right, let me tell you. A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. So this route here from Jerusalem to Jericho is very hilly and very rocky. I'd actually like to go and do this trip. I'd like to bring my family, go out to Jerusalem, and do this trip from Jerusalem to Jericho. It'd be awesome to see just kind of what he walked through. Because even Josephus writes, yeah, watch out for this route between Jerusalem and Jericho, because there's a lot of thieves there. And so Josephus was a writer at the time. He wasn't a follower of Christ, but we kind of see him. He's a historian, and so he even writes this. And this guy fell among the thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. This is funny. Okay, and then likewise, look, the Levite also, when he arrived at that place, came and looked and passed on the other side. How many of us, when we're shopping in a supermarket and we're going, and then we see somebody down an aisle that we don't want to talk, so we just turn around and go to the next aisle? We do the same thing as what this chief priest and this priest and this Levite did. They're like, yeah, no, I ignore him. I didn't even see him. Oh, there was somebody that was there. And so we often do. So as we are Martha, or we are the disciples taking it for granted, we are also often like this priest and the Levite. It's so easy for us to judge these guys. Man, I wouldn't have walked on the other side of the road. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed. A Samaritan. Jesus used a Samaritan. Remember John and just previous chapter? John and was it James? they were wanting to smite them because they didn't receive Jesus. They're like, do like Elijah and bring down fire so we can smite these guys. Why? Because Jews and Samaritans hated each other. In fact, there was a rabbi that forbid Jews from helping a Samaritan woman, even if she's pregnant, because God forbid that you help a woman give birth to another Samaritan. And another Samaritan be born. Anyhow, but a certain Samaritan, of all people, this lawyer must have been ticked off. A Samaritan journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. A Samaritan did? So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, put him on an oil and brought him to an inn and took care of him. On the next day when he departed, look at this. He took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come back, I will repay you. And so which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? And of course he had to answer, well, the one who showed mercy. All right, well, go and do likewise. To Samaritans? I actually like this picture of the Samaritan. That is a good picture of Jesus. He saw the need, and he came to help. He was despised by Jews, just like the Samaritan, but Jesus came. Not only did he come to meet the need, but he had everything he required to meet that need. And not only that, he also gave to make sure that the future was taken care of. And this is such a good picture of Jesus and what he did for us, taking care of us also in the future. And so then Mary and Martha, this is where we kind of get the title here, Mary and Martha. So now it happened as they went that he entered a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. This is Mary and Martha are the sisters of Lazarus. We see their story also in that. And she had a sister called Mary, who also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. Well, she gave priority to the word. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she approached him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me alone to serve alone? Therefore tell her to help me. And Jesus answered and said, Martha, Martha, are you worried and troubled about many things? Or you are worried about many things. But one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen that good part, which is not to be taken away from her. What was messed up? It was her priorities. It's easy for us to judge Martha, but here we are even in a grander covenant, and we've got the word, and people have probably on average 10 Bibles in their house, and yet we just leave them collecting dust, around the house. But here he's saying she has chosen the word. Judah and I heard one time of a place where there was gold, that if we go for a hike, that there might be a chance that we can find gold. And so Judah and I went, and sure enough, we found some gold. It was really awesome. It was a cool experience for him and I. But at the same time as we did this, and we found this gold, and I was spending a lot of time just plotting out the route and doing all this, and spent a lot of time towards it. Well, at the same time, I was reading through the entire Bible. I was doing one chapter of the New Testament per day and 3 Old Testament chapters per day. And so if you do that throughout the entire year, you're going through the New Testament and the Old Testament at the same time, but you just do 1 New Testament, 3 Old Testament, and you're going through. All right. So happens to be that at that same time, I come through Proverbs 3, where he talks about how the word is more precious than gold and than silver and fine gold. And I read this, and all of a sudden, because we just experienced looking for this gold and plotting it out, and where's all the gold now in Manitoba, and where is it? And so we were going through this, and Holy Spirit just gave me a picture. And he said, Phil, because the word is more precious than gold. He says, imagine you're in a church, and he showed me this picture of being in a church service, and there's pews and all these people sitting in the pews, and the pastor is teaching, And somebody comes running into the church, slams open the doors, because he just found a stream not far from the church that had some gold in it. And so he says, everybody, you got to see, there's gold in the stream. And the picture was that everybody immediately stood up, got out of the church, and went running to the stream where there was gold. And he says, this is exactly like the church. They'd much rather go find gold, but yet the word is right in front of them. We have Bibles everywhere. The word is right in front of them, and it is more precious than gold. And he showed me how this is a picture of most of us. We'd rather leave the word, which is so incredible, and leave it there and forsake it just to go, to leave the good message and to go and find the gold, when meanwhile what we have right in front of us is more precious than fine gold. This was something that I never wanted to forget, but just the titling this, we are like those disciples that are taking it for granted. We are like the Levite and the priest that try to go to the other side of the road. We are like Martha, that we often prioritize so many things before the word. And so anyhow, I just wanted to show you just what this meant to me, especially with this and what this story that took place with us. And man, it convicted me, and I'm like, man, I'm spending so much time just plotting out this route and everything, but yet we have the word right in front of us. God, thank you. Help us to not live taking for granted the very word that is in front of us. We're in a country that allows us to have the Bible, has not made it illegal yet, and we can still take it and read through it because it is more precious than silver and fine gold. Well, guys, I hope this was a blessing to you as much as it was to me. I love this chapter. I love the whole parable of the Good Samaritan. But just remember what we have, not to take it for granted. We're in the new covenant. We have authority over serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. But you know what? Be a blessing out there. Love others. And remember, always stay filled up.